There is a whisper echoing through Colombia for months now, a burning question the European media is dead, scared to ask out loud, because the truth stings too much, a reality FIFA ducks, FIFA dodges, and the British press has spent months burying under flashy Premier League headlines just to avoid facing it. And that question is simple. When was the last time any player in any league on the planet put up these kinds of jaw-dropping numbers? 20 goals, 16 assists, 35 games, a goal contribution every 80 minutes, a staggering market value of 101.55 million euros. He ranks dead first in the Bundesliga for attacking touches inside the opponent's box. Top 3 in expected threat across the entire German league. Number 1 in winning the ball back deep in enemy territory. 237 kilometers covered, 477 total sprints. So when did this happen last? I will tell you exactly when. Never, not once has a Colombian produced this kind of magic at one of the top 3 clubs on earth. Absolutely never. Yet, while he is rewriting history, while these insane stats are plastered everywhere for the world to see, FIFA just keeps throwing their fancy banquets. FIFA keeps handing out their shiny trophies, and Luis Díaz's name is still suspiciously missing from the spotlight where it belongs. Because over in Europe, if you do not have a Brazilian passport, if you are not from Argentina, or if you were not born on their continent, your stats simply do not hold the same weight. They know this in Colombia. They know it down in La Guajira. And today, we are laying it all out on the table. But before we break down the present, we need to rewind the tape. We need to look at the exact second Arne Slot's Liverpool made the single most disastrous blunder in modern European soccer history. Díaz spent 3 years grinding at Liverpool. He buried clutch goals in the Champions League, stepped up in season-defining matchups. And yet, Arne Slot, the Dutch manager brought in to fill Klopp's shoes, just casually decided to ship him off. 75 million euros. That is the price tag he slapped on him. 75 million for a superstar who barely 12 months later would skyrocket in value to 101.55 million. A guy cemented as the undisputed best left winger on the planet according to every single advanced metric. Let that sink in. 75 million for Luis Díaz. And Slot stood at the podium, feeding the press with that classic European coach arrogance, talking about South American talent like they are just disposable parts. Like mere pawns on a chessboard, he weaponized the word inconsistency, the exact same label the British media hammered him with for years. Inconsistency, as if this alleged flaw was some genetic defect, rather than the obvious fallout of shoving him into a playbook completely blind to his actual strengths. Slot sold him out, and the Liverpool fanbase barely batted an eye. No protests, no outrage in the streets, no putting the heat on the front office. They completely abandoned the fierce loyalty they usually show when losing one of their own. They just let him walk. Flash forward to today, Bayern Munich is sitting on an 11-point cushion at the top of the Bundesliga, hunting a treble, while Díaz is dropping historic video game numbers. Meanwhile, Arne Slot is still scratching his head in press conferences, trying to spin why his Liverpool squad lacks offensive firepower. Wake up, Slot. Your answer is in Munich. It is glaring right there in Munich, because when Díaz touched down at Bayern, there was no awkward adjustment phase. It was a straight-up nuclear detonation. And to grasp the magnitude of this explosion, you have to look at the tactical shift back in England. They shoved him into a rigid left second striker role. Over 40 games in the 23 to 2024 campaign, he netted 12 goals and logged 4 assists. Just 4 helpers in 40 matchups. That right there tells the whole story. That completely exposes why the English reporters kept branding a hit or miss player. He was not inconsistent. He was trapped in a scheme that literally smothered his playmaking ability. Then Vincent Kompany stepped in and flipped the script. He unleashed him as a left attacking midfielder, giving him the absolute freedom to link up, to slice into the box from the inside channel, and actually be the maestro, pulling the strings in the build-up, dropping into deeper pockets where he could actually breathe, survey the field, and execute. The payoff of that tactical genius. Just look at the stats, going from a measly 4 assists in 40 Liverpool games to 13 dimes in the Bundesliga for Bayern. 13. All in that very same season. That is not a fluke, no lucky streak. That is a generational talent who always had that elite vision locked inside, finally teaming up with a coach sharp enough to unlock it. As for the British media, the ones who spent years churning out hit pieces on his supposed unreliability, they are now staring at these German stats from across the channel, looking completely shell-shocked because the reality destroyed their perfectly crafted narrative. Those same reporters can go ahead and eat their words. They can dig through their digital archives, read their own garbage back to themselves, and if they have even an ounce of professional integrity left, they will print the massive apology that Díaz has deserved for months. Now let us talk pure data, because the metrics in this tactical breakdown absolutely vaporize any remaining arguments. Let's kick off with the most vicious stat of them all. Díaz is the undisputed king of the Bundesliga when it comes to attacking touches in the enemy box. 78 times so far this campaign, he has possessed the ball right in the opponent's kitchen, beating out Harry Kane, completely eclipsing Michael Lawless, and dominating every single pure striker across all 16 cities holding a top-flight German franchise. Do you grasp the tactical weight of that? It means not a single defensive unit in the Bundesliga has figured out how to lock him out of the danger zone for 90 minutes. It means that 5 grueling months of defensive scheming, endless film room sessions, intense locker room speeches, and week-long practice drills have amounted to absolutely nothing, as Díaz still forced his way into their box 78 times. Then you look at expected threat. He is sitting at number 3 in the entire league with 953 points, 36 points. And what exactly does that metric mean? It means the second the ball hits his cleats, the algorithm flags him as a lethal, imminent danger to the opponent. Snet. Forget the shots, forget the assists. Just the touch, the split second that ball hits his cleats in the final third, the opponent's threat meter absolutely redlines. That's exactly what expected threat measures, and he ranks 3rd in the entire league. But here's the stat that completely blows my mind. The one you'll never see trending. The European press completely buries it. Why? Because it shatters their tired narrative of the selfish South American star who pads stats against easy teams and goes ghost on defense. He's the absolute king of the Bundesliga, and when it comes to winning the ball back inside the opponent S-box, 26 massive recoveries, number 1. The kid from La Gajira, who practically has the ball glued to his cleats. He steals possession in the enemy penalty area more than anyone else in the German top flight. Complete silence from Europe. You won't find that in the tactical deep dives from the German, French, or Spanish papers. You hear it right here. You hear it back home in Colombia. You hear it from the real fans who actually grind through the analytics instead of cherry-picking numbers. 5th, their biased agendas. One single matchup perfectly captures his entire season. A performance so flawless that Bild, Germany's biggest and most ruthless sports paper, handed him a perfect grade. The Hoffenheim clash, a hat-trick, 3 goals. But wait, he also drew 2 penalty kicks and forced a red card on a defender who literally had to hack him down just to survive. In just 90 minutes, he buried 3 goals, engineered 2 more from the penalty spot, and practically wiped a guy off the pitch on sheer presence alone. That's what earns a perfect score from Bild. And they don't just hand those out. This is the exact same publication that spent years destroying Bayern stars with career-ruining hit pieces. Bild dropping a flawless rating on a Colombian winger in his rookie Bundesliga campaign. That headline should have broken the Hispanic sports internet for a solid week. Instead, it got 24 hours of buzz before completely fading into the background. Why? Because there's this weird obsession in the European outlets, and let's be brutally honest, plenty of Latin American ones too, that would rather constantly obsess over Vinicius or Rodrigo. They heavily favor South Americans at clubs the European elite already treat like absolute royalty, completely ignoring a Colombian who's smatching or beating their numbers right now. And that brings us to the core issue, the massive elephant in the room that everyone is absolutely terrified to point out. Yet it violently hangs over every single awards show, every shortlist, and every single fan poll for the best player on the planet. When was the last time you saw him even make the preliminary cut for the Ballon d'Or? Has UEFA ever actually thrown him to our mix for best winger? Has FIFA ever even dropped his name at the best awards? Look at the raw stats, look at the game tape. He is completely dominating at a global powerhouse in a top 5 European league. The debate is no longer whether he belongs in the conversation. The real question is, what rigged criteria are keeping him out? And the truth, as ugly as it is to admit, is painfully obvious. European soccer runs on a massive caste system of hype. It isn't just about how well you perform on the pitch. It's about sheer marketability. It's about your previous league. It's entirely about what flag happens to be on your passport. If a Brazilian put up these exact numbers, he'd be the poster boy for France football for months on end. If an Argentine had this insane stat line, they'd completely fast-track him to the best winger in Europe trophy. A Colombian, he has to grind twice as hard, prove 3 times as much, and pray some European executive finally throws him a bone. That isn't a hot take. That's a track record. It's the same old story for South Americans out there. And he isn't going to politely ask to break the mold. He's going completely shatter it because his stats will get so ridiculous, so undeniably loud that they won't have a single choice but to bow down. And trust me, that day is coming incredibly fast. There's one specific metric in his scouting report that needs its own absolute spotlight because it completely transcends the sport itself. This season alone, he's logged 1,635 high-intensity runs, 477 sprints, clocked 237 kilometers, and hit a top speed of 34.14 kilometers per hour. Those aren't the stats of some flashy winger who dazzles for 20 minutes and then completely ghosts the rest of the game. Those are pure blue-collar numbers, the mark of a grinder who starts his sprint while the ball is still a mile away, just to lock down the perfect spot when it lands. The kind of player who gives opposing coaches absolute nightmares in the film room, because you simply can park the bus and hope to stop him with a static backline. You have to run with him, and keeping pace with him for 90 minutes is a brutal death sentence. No Bundesliga right back has survived yet. 1,635 intense runs. That massive engine was built in Liga Gira. It was forged on dirt pitches where you absolutely hustle, or you don't touch the ball. If you don't touch it, you sit. If you sit, you don't dream. European academies can teach that kind of hunger. You were either born with that raw fire or you aren't. Colombia is witnessing pure history right now. And we need to call it exactly what it is. History, not just great, not just solid, truly historic. The undisputed best left winger on the planet, according to every single deep dive analytic. He is Colombian. He's balling out for Bayern Munich. He is fiercely chasing the treble. He carries a massive price tag of 101.55 million euros. He completely dominates the Bundesliga in 2 critical metrics. He ranks top 3 in expected threat across the entire league. And he pulled this off in his rookie year in Germany. Coming straight out of the Premier League, he flawlessly adapted to a whole new style of play, a German-speaking locker room, and a relentless, absolutely unforgiving weekly grind. All while FIFA throws their extremely fancy parties in Zurich and UEFA hands out their shiny trophies over in Monaco. And while the British tabloids desperately try to spin how great Liverpool supposedly looks without him, and while the fans who let him walk without a fight sit in the stands, helplessly watching their squad desperately search for the electric spark they threw away. He doesn't need their plastic awards to know his absolute worth. The raw stats scream his value. Kompany knows his value. Bild knows exactly what he's worth. Jayvane Iloba, a certified Bayern icon with 133 goals for the badge, knows exactly what he's worth, and he brought it up this week without anyone even asking. He dropped that bombshell because the brutal truth refuses to stay buried, no matter whose feathers it ruffles. But there is a catch, exactly one, and it came straight from Elber himself, delivered with the raw, unfiltered honesty of a man who knows this franchise is done. To go down as an all-time great, you have to finish the fight. You need the hardware. The Bundesliga is basically in the bag, coasting on an 11-point cushion. You need the cup, and then there is the Champions League, the undisputed crown jewel of European soccer, the ultimate prize that franchises with 100 years of history bleed for all season long. It is the one trophy that turns players into legends. Luis Díaz is just 3 championships away from authoring a chapter of soccer history that no Colombian player has ever touched, and he has the roster to get it done. He is backed by a lethal attacking trio. He has Kane, he has Olis, he has Kompany calling the shots from the sideline, riding that 11-point lead in the standings. We are way past asking if he has what it takes. The numbers scream that he does. The real question is whether Europe will be paying attention when history drops, because Colombia is already glued to the screen. They have been holding their breath for months. That nation has known exactly what kind of generational talent they have in Díaz for years. Now, the rest of the globe is about to get a massive wake-up call, whether they are ready or not, whether they like it or not, no matter how much it shakes up the establishment, from Barrancas, Gojira, straight to the blinding lights of the Allianz Arena. Nobody can ever erase that period.